again, everyone. It's me, Madame Macabre, and welcome to a new video. Before I start today's video, I just wanted to do a quick shout out to our $100 patron. That's right, Tyler Spooks has pledged $100 to my new Patreon, and I just wanted to say thank you so much. It is with your support that I'm truly able to keep fighting to help keep YouTube creepy. You are amazing, and I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked when I saw that notification because I didn't actually think anybody would do that tier. So thank you again so much, Tyler Spooks. It means a great deal. Now that we have that major thank you taken care of, let's get going on into the show. As you can see, we have yet another facecam video, and this time the surroundings have changed. Since my new camera can be moved around, that means I can shoot in varying locations. So today we're trying out the living room to see how this turns out. Anyways, for today's video, I have yet another personal paranormal story time. This story actually takes place way back in high school again, and it was actually in the high school that this happened. So I've talked about my old high school a little bit in previous videos, but basically it was a really big high school, one of those ones with several thousand students and, you know, a multi-story building across a massive campus, several multi-story buildings, including a separate art studio, like a car shop, a metal shop, all these different things, plus a full Broadway-size stage and auditorium. When our school was talking about go to the theater, they meant an actual theater. So as you can probably imagine, I was a drama kid. I did a lot of acting and stuff during high school. And the theater itself, I spent a good deal of time in, and that's where the story starts to pick up. See, ever since even before I had gone to the high school, I had heard of the local legends about it. According to all the students, at one point in time, there had been some sort of maintenance worker who everybody just called Jim. I don't know if that's actually the real name, but that's just what, in the legends, everybody called him Jim. So basically, he had been working at the high school way back since it had first opened decades ago, and he spent most of his time in the auditorium in the theater. He supposedly had a great love and passion for acting, so that's where he spent all of his time. Now here's where the stories that we heard about this split. Some of the stories say that he died. Other stories said that he killed himself. But what all the stories agree on is that, however it happened, Jim ended up hanging from the catwalk way above the theater, up by where you change the lights. Now, again, I don't know if there's any truth to that or not. I never really looked into it. But, you know, you go into a school, everyone's telling you that, and, you know, you're pretty well set to believe it as a high schooler if you're into that stuff. It also helped that there were a lot of reported paranormal instances that would always happen in the theater, mostly in the backstage area. Now again, this was a full-size theater, so it had a large backstage with all sorts of stuff to get into. I had heard stories about people feeling cold spots, people feeling somebody touching them, brushing against them, people smelling cigarette smoke, even though it was banned anywhere on the campus. Just interesting sorts of things like that. And up to a certain point, I had never experienced it myself, so I didn't really know what to think. I just thought it was a fun story, and, you know, I love spooky stories. I love getting creeped out, so I was all for it. However, little did I know, I was soon to have my very own experience with Jim. See, back when my school was performing the play Beauty and the Beast, we actually bought the rights from Disney, so we were doing the Disney version. I was actually going to be playing Babette the Feather Duster, and I was there one night when all the people who were rehearsing that night, we were all out on the main stage, and I was sent backstage alone because the drama teacher had forgotten his clipboard and I was the closest to the backstage at the time, so he's like, hey, can you run back and grab my clipboard for me? He told me where it was, and it wasn't that far backstage, so it shouldn't have taken me very long to find it. However, I went back there and I looked exactly where he told me to, and there was no clipboard. I spent a good deal of time just looking all around the backstage thinking, oh, maybe he just forgot. I was scanning around trying to find it. No sign of it whatsoever. It was pretty strange, and generally I never really got that spooked being backstage, but just for some reason that day it seemed darker and colder than usual, and I was just pretty paranoid the whole time I was alone back there searching, and finally I gave up on it. I was like, okay, well, I can't see it. Maybe he put it somewhere else. So I turned around and started heading back out onto the stage to ask the teacher if maybe he had forgotten. And that's when it happened. I was rehearsing in my Babette dress at that point in time, which had this sort of poofy skirt on it, and as I was turning around, I felt something yank the back of my skirt. Now mind you, this wasn't just like a faint breeze blowing it or it getting caught on anything, because there wasn't anything near me. This was straight up, felt like a hand grabbing and yanking the back of my skirt. So of course I was a little bit freaked out in that moment. So I whipped around ready to have some words with whoever thought it would be a good idea to prank me and scare me like that. But what ended up happening was me just getting more scared, because when I looked around, there was nobody there. No signs of movement, no moving in the shadow, nobody hiding. There was no one there. I whipped around real quick, no sign of anyone. And at that point I'm like, oh my god, what is happening? However, before I could skedaddle out of there, I looked behind me in the direction in which my skirt had been pulled, and there was a stool. I had checked that stool several times. I distinctly remember checking that stool multiple times before, and there was no sign of that clipboard on it. But lo and behold, after something yanked my skirt and I turned around, the missing clipboard was right there. I think the weirdest part was that when I went to go pick up the clipboard, right above the clipboard, it felt particularly colder than anywhere else in the backstage area. It was freezing. So of course I just grabbed that sucker and ran. I didn't care that nothing particularly malevolent had happened or not. I had had a day, that was enough. If I were to indulge and say that that was indeed something paranormal that happened, my guess would be that Jim, perhaps one thing I should have mentioned before is that there was a history of objects backstage moving around, like people remember setting them one place and then it unexplainably being somewhere else. And my thoughts are perhaps maybe Jim had moved it before, he saw me looking for it, put it back where it was supposed to be, and then yanked my skirt to get my attention and direct me towards it. But it also, I don't know. I don't know what it could have been, honestly, because I checked that stool. That's what pissed me off about it the most, is because I checked it like 3 times and there was nothing on that stool. It's not like there's anything over it that could have obscured it. It was right on top of the stool. I would have seen it. So that was my first encounter with Jim, but I did, after that, at one point, have one more encounter with him, and this one spooked me quite a bit more. See, as I had mentioned previously in the story, there was a catwalk way up at the top of the auditorium. This is multiple stories high. It's pretty spooky. It's very narrow, and basically the only reason you should be up there is to be messing with the lights aiming down at the stage, and generally students are not allowed up on the catwalk because it's dangerous. The only thing keeping you on that catwalk is just 2 handrails. That's it, and that is a long way down. However, occasionally trustworthy students were allowed to go up if something needed to be messed with the lights. And me and a friend actually got asked by the drama teacher to go up and change out one of the colored bulbs. We were both sort of honor roll students and he trusted us, so he gave us the key to go to the ladder that led up there. Now mind you, the ladder up to the catwalk was always kept locked. It was never left open. No student could just sneak back there and climb up. You had to unlock it to get access to that thing. So he gives us a purple bulb, and we're gonna go swap it out with a green one because we need more purple bulbs for this play coming up. So it's one of these bigger, heavier ones, but they're kind of plasticky, so they're not super fragile. Anyway, so my friend has the bulb, I have the key, we head on up there, I unlock it, it's still locked, everything, nothing's out of place. We open it up, get access to the ladder, and we head on up there. Now mind you, it is a long climb, so if you were afraid of heights, you would not have liked it up there at all. So when we get up to the top of the catwalk, up at that dizzying height, we can see about halfway across the light area where we're gonna change the bulb. So we start walking our way down there, you know, just making small talk, chatting, everything. Everything's fine, nothing's out of place. However, we get maybe 4 or 5 steps into the catwalk, and we freeze. We had gone completely silent, and we just looked at each other because it was just the two of us up there. Yet at the same time, we could have swore we heard a third set of footsteps. So we stood frozen for a minute, just looking at each other and listening. And there was nothing, no other footsteps, just complete silence and the faint chatting of the rest of the class down below. So we were just like, okay, we were just hearing things. So we start walking again, but this time we're quiet, we don't talk at all. And we're walking, we don't hear anything for a second, and then, sure enough, we hear that third set of footsteps pick up again. Okay, but here is the weird thing about that. They were coming from the opposite direction, where it was in complete darkness. Now mind you, I should clarify, the side we came up was the only side that had a ladder to get up there. So there should have been no one else up there, and there was no way for someone to get up on that end. It had been locked on our end, nobody had been up or down. You can't get down while it's closed. It's just, it shouldn't have been possible. But plain as day, we could hear footsteps walking towards us. We stopped to make sure it wasn't an echo, and they continued. We were only a couple feet away from where we needed to be to change the light bulb, but we never made it that far because from out of the shadows, we started to see the silhouette of a grown man. That was a big silhouette walking towards us. At that point, we were done. We had to leave. My friend, in her horrified panic, fumbled the light bulb and dropped it. But of course, since we are not in a horror movie and we're not looking to die, we didn't try and fumble and pick it up again. We just left it and we ran. We just ran as quickly as we could, and we were just like flying down that ladder. I closed it and I locked it behind me, and we were just like, oh my god, what is going on? No one's supposed to be up there. And we're trying to be like, okay, we need to just try and calm down. And we need to tell the teacher what happened. We'll explain to him why we weren't able to change the light, and then we'll tell him what we saw up there because that wasn't normal. So we're way down here by where the ladder is to get up to the catwalk, and our teacher is way over here on the far end of the stage by the light controls waiting for us. Now, we didn't try screaming across to him because, you know, we didn't want to be obnoxious and we were still shaken. So we were waiting until we were going to walk up to him and tell him what happened. However, he saw us down there, so he just automatically assumed that we had finished changing the light bulb. So without waiting to hear what we had to say, he flipped the light switch to have the light come back on. And you know what happened? The light came on. And it was not green. It was purple. The light bulb that we did not change, the one that my friend dropped on the catwalk. I saw her. We left it. We abandoned ship. We dropped that thing. We didn't touch it. We left it be. And somehow, it ended up back in the socket where it was supposed to be, illuminating the room in purple. Needless to say, I never once, not to this day, have ever gone back up to that catwalk. Let me tell you. Now mind you, I never got a malicious, evil vibe, but it definitely spooked me. You know, that's not something I was keen on experiencing again. It caught me off guard, and I wasn't about that life. I just wasn't. Just like before, if I had to take a guess, it would be that, once again, Jim supposedly had a great love for drama, and maybe if the spirit had the ability to manifest like that, maybe it changed the bulb. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Maybe a hobo broke in, was hiding up there, and decided to be helpful. You got me. But that is my personal experience with my high school ghost. Now, mind you, there are countless other stories about experiences with Jim, but these were just my experiences, and I thought I would share them with you guys. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that story. Have you ever experienced a haunting at your school? Does your school have a resident ghost or a resident haunt? Feel free to share in the comments below. I love reading your guys' stories and experiences. But that is all we have time for today. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. And if you are new here and you love spooky content, I put new videos out every Monday and Friday, and I invite you to subscribe and join the family. But that is all we have time for today. So I will catch you all next time. Until then, stay creepy. Hey, before you go, I just wanted to take a moment to thank my awesome patrons. You're all amazing, and I truly appreciate the support. Even pledges as small as $1 help me to continue the fight to keep YouTube creepy despite the crackdown on non-family friendly content. Of course, all of my patrons are amazing, but I'd like to take a moment to give a special thanks to Tyler Spooks, Alex Gutierrez, Kuda, and Simon Laverdier Delisle for all pledging an amazingly generous $20 or more. You guys are incredible! And if you're interested in becoming a patron, you can follow the link in the card. Alright, catch you guys later.